just to recap from microsegment 2, ISO is the recognized international standard. It represents a standardized approach to using BIM for the delivery phase of assets. The standard contains all the same principles and high-level requirements as BIM Level 2 and is closely aligned with the current UK 1192 standards. There are two parts. Part 1 is concepts and principles, and Part 2 is the delivery phase of assets. This sets out a lifecycle approach to structuring data for a project. The diagram here in front of us shows how this information is structured. We have at the beginning here the start of the project, and what we have here is the end. In between, what we have are called activities, and in each one of these activities there are a number of sub-activities. The activities, as we can see down here, are assessment of need, invitation to tender, tender response, appointment, mobilization, collaborative production of information, information model delivery, then finally project closeout. Within each of these activities, there are a number of important milestones that must be achieved. This lesson will look at some of these in a bit more detail. While each of these activities have a number of sub-activities, the key activities are detailed here in this diagram. Number 1 is establish a common data environment. Then exchange information requirements can be established. Then a pre and post BIM execution plan. Then once this is completed, an appointment is being made. The appointment can mobilize those resources, and then throughout the process there will be a review and acceptance of the information model along with quality assurance checks to review the information and approve for sharing. We will now move on and look at some of these activities in a bit more detail in order to gain an appreciation of what's involved in ISO 9650. So, how do these documents and requirements ensure a successful Level 2 project? As discussed, the first objective is to establish a project's common data environment. At Activity 1, the first thing that will be done is to appoint a project information management roles, establish the project information requirements, establish a project information delivery milestone, establish the project information shared, establish the project information production methods and procedures, establish a project reference information and shared resources, as well as establish the common data environment. Essentially, at this stage, what we are doing is establishing the project information protocol. This enables the information model to be progressed by the next delivery team. But one of the key requirements is the establishment of a project's common data environment. The common data environment is a single resource of information used to collect, manage, and disseminate documentation, the graphical model, and non-graphical data for the whole project team. So, all project information, whether created in a BIM environment or in a conventional data format, is stored here. Creating this single source of information facilitates collaboration between project team members, and it helps avoid duplication and mistakes. Within the common data environment, there are 4 main folders: the shared, the work in progress, the published, and the archive. In future training units, each one of these folders are looked at in more detail. There are numerous software vendors available for common data environments. Here is a selective list of some of the available vendors. At the next stage, you will establish the appointing parties exchange information requirements. The EIR defines what the employer wants to get out of the project information model at the end of each stage. So the appointing party shall establish their exchange information requirements to be met by the appointed party or contractor during the appointment. In doing this, the appointing party shall define each information requirement, consider of the organization's information requirements, asset information requirements, and project information requirements. This ensures that the employer's requirements are firmly integrated with the business objectives. Then, one must establish a level of definition required to meet each information requirement. So previously, in microsegment 2, we discussed the level of detail. The level of information required in the model. It's important to define what this should be and at what stage to ensure that the employer's expectations are met. After this, there's a need to establish the acceptance criteria for each information requirement, such as the project information standard and the information production methods and procedures. Then we must look at establishing dates relative to the project's information delivery milestones and appointing parties' key decision points. This will include the time needed by the appointing party to review and accept information and appointing parties' internal assurance processes. Finally, we must establish the supporting information that the appointed party might need in order to fully understand or evaluate each information requirement or its acceptance criteria, such as existing asset information, shared resources, or supporting documents or guidance material. Here are some of the items that might be discussed in an EIR. They include what software platforms to use, the data exchange formats, the coordinates, the level of detail, and what training is required. Also, what standards should be used, stakeholders' roles and what their responsibilities are, planning the work and data segregation, security, such as PAS 1192.5, coordination and clash detection processes, what's the collaboration processes, model review meetings, health and safety, what constraints are on systems, a compliant plan, and delivery strategy for asset information, as well as commercial considerations. Here we have an example of an EIR. There's a link provided underneath this image. If you would like to see what an EIR would look like or what's required, please follow this link and then spend some time digesting this document, as it's quite important and it plays a vital part of the building information modelling process. Once the delivery team's information management roles are set, the pre-BIM execution plan can be established. This document should include a response to the requirements of the employer information requirements. The proposed names and CVs of the individuals who undertake each of the delivery team's project information manager roles are usually included within it. The delivery team's information delivery strategy, the volume strategy, delivery team's high-level responsibility matrix, delivery team's proposed information production methods and procedures, and a complete schedule of software. At this stage, you should also establish the delivery team's capability and capacity as well as the mobilization plan. The next stage, the appointed party should confirm the delivery team's BIM execution plan in agreement with each sub-appointment party. This document will confirm the names of the individuals who will undertake each of the delivery team information management roles, update the delivery team's information delivery strategy, update the team's high-level responsibility matrix, and confirm and document the delivery team's proposed information production methods. It will also update the project information standard with any additional or amendments agreed with the appointment party and confirm the schedule of software, hardware, and IT infrastructure the delivery team will use. The pre-BIM execution plan usually forms part of the tender. The BIM execution plan is usually the response to the tender from the contractor with all the required details within the pre-BIM execution plan in order for this to be successfully executed. Other key milestones or sub-activities within number 4 include establishing delivery teams' detailed responsibility matrix and exchange information requirements, as well as establishing the master delivery plan. The master delivery plan is an accumulation of a number of task information delivery plans setting out how each subcontractor will deliver their part of the project and the resources they have to do so. Other key activities include mobilisation. So this is where, once appointed, the contractor will mobilise their resources, mobilise their information technology, and test the agreed information production methods and procedures. 5 is in regards to collaborative production of information. This is where we check the availability of reference information and shared resources, complete quality assurance checks, and review information and proof for sharing. And finally, the information model review is where we submit information model for appointed party authorization, review authorize the information model, and review and accept the information model. So this brings us to a closeout. So to recap, 1 is where we begin to set the project information goals and set up a common data environment. 2 is where we establish the employer's exchange information requirements. 3 is where we set up our pre-BIM execution plan and move towards the tender process. 4, the appointment of the relevant body and the establishment of a BIM execution plan and master information delivery plan. 5 is where our contractor mobilises resources. 6 is how information is collected and how it's produced. And finally, 7 is where we look at the information model review to ensure that the quality assurance checks and the review for information is appropriate before handover. So here are an example of a number of pre and post BIM execution plans. The links provided under the images provide examples of BIM execution plan templates. Most organizations will have their own BIM execution plans, but these should cover what's required in ISO 9650. So if you would like to investigate it further, it's recommended that you visit these websites and explore these documents. Some important other documents that are required to achieve a level 2, such as the BIM protocol, what classifications should be followed, data security requirements, such as PAS 11925, what handover procedure and post-occupancy evaluations, such as the UK government soft landings, the appointment of a project information manager, as well as important other BIM related roles. Is professional identity insurance required? The digital plan of works and what should be followed and what stages information should be handed over. How is a federated model to be used for 3D coordination and clash detection, and as well as data handover, such as through the construction, operate, build information exchange.